we can actually become addicted to the brutal highs and lows of chaotic, turbulent relationships, especially with narcissists or charming psychopaths, in a way that makes a breakup with them or any kind of withdrawal similar to detox or rehab from a drug addiction. Have you ever wondered why you struggle so much with letting go of relationships that are more ambiguous, unpredictable, why you're addicted to chaos in turbulent relationships and you find long-term, stable, predictable love somewhat boring? Unfortunately, our brains can be rewired to fixate on people who are toxic for us because the nature of dopamine is that it flows more readily to the brain when there is that unpredictability of when we're going to get that next fix or reward of positive behavior and actions toward us by that romantic partner. So the person who sweet talks you, love bombs you 1 second, engages in fantasy prone fast forwarding and future faking in order to get you to invest in a future that might not even exist or even come to fruition at any point, tends to be more exciting and rewarding to our brain, and our brain registers them as important and salient to our survival when there is that chaos, when there is that unpredictability, when there is that stronger dopamine rush. And our reward circuits tend to be even more strengthened by their hot and cold behavior, by their withdrawal and withholding patterns. And yes, the same kind of craving related regions in the brain tend to be activated when we are withdrawing and detoxing from love, especially unhealthy love. And when these pleasurable moments of them giving you flowers or showering you with texts after a long period of the silent treatment and stonewalling, or getting you gifts or taking you out on romantic dates after a heated argument, when these pleasurable moments are far and in between periods of cruelty and uncertainty, you are conditioned to walk on eggshells and try to prove your worth to the abuser, the narcissist or the psychopath or the toxic person or the emotionally unavailable person or the emotionally immature person. Whoever you're dealing with, this hot and cold behavior operates similarly. Of course, there is more destructive manipulation and devaluation going on if you're in an abusive cycle with a narcissist. And this type of operant conditioning is known as intermittent reinforcement in behavioral psychology, when the rewards are unpredictable, when you don't know when you're going to get the next reward, so you fight even harder to keep the relationship alive in an attempt to go back to the honeymoon phase of the relationship. And when they gaslight you with these sweet moments, you start to gaslight yourself and you start to wonder, am I the problem? Why aren't they going back to the person that they were in the beginning of the relationship when they were love bombing me? This toxic love creates an addiction to the dopamine rush, which has nothing to do with the strength of your character or the merits of the relationship or the person that you seem to be obsessed with. And much like in limerence, where we're obsessed with the fantasy of who we think the person is rather than who they pretend to be, it's more about what this person represents, right? We are clinging to their approval, their possible validation, because we've been trained to do so by our brains. But that does not mean that change is impossible. There are ways to get healthy dopamine rushes and fixes without involving a toxic person. You can heal from the addiction. But first, you have to start withdrawing from the narcissist. Those are excerpts from my original 2017 viral article on our toxic love addiction to narcissists and psychopaths and emotionally unavailable people. You can also learn a more in-depth details on how to detox from this trauma bond and addiction in my book, Breaking Trauma Bonds with Narcissists and Psychopaths, available in all major bookstores, including your local Barnes & Noble, as well as everywhere online and in real life where books are sold. I hope this video helped, and until next time, take care.
Stay in